So this film is, of course, based on a film which in itself is based on a book. I was just wondering, when you get involved in a project like this, as reference points, do you go back and watch what's come before and read books and stuff, or do you think it's more beneficial in a way just to treat this as a new feature?
When there's a book, I definitely think it's beneficial from my point of view to read it, because the novel contains the original thought process of every character and just the structure of the whole story and the nuance of that world that is created, and so it really enriches the back work of studying the script and the character, definitely. And in this case, the book is really, really well written. It's a great piece of literature in itself. Yeah. So
when you first got this script in, what was it that made you think, right, yes, I have to get involved in this?
Well, the first impression was the content of the scenes that I auditioned with were really intense and fun. They seemed fun to play for an actor, because they were emotionally interesting. So that was the first thing. And of course, then I learned Tom Hanks was attached to the project, and I was like, I really hope I get this. And yeah.
Because despite Otto's kind of grumpy demeanour and quite negative outlook on life at times, your character always sees the good in him. Yeah. As an actress, that must be quite easier to access that emotion when you're dealing with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, I was nervous, because you never know how you're going to react. But, when you're acting and if you're doing it for the character and in mind with the craft that and you've been doing, it's actually easier to connect because everybody's acting towards the same objective and trying to connect. So, and then doing it with Tom, that he's just such a professional and knows how to access to everything in 1 second and just pour it out. It was really beautiful to be able to play off that.
Yes, because what's he like as a collaborator? Because I remember I interviewed him once, and I walked into the room, and he came to the door, put his arm around me, and walked me into the scene. He's like, I know it's only a small thing, but everyone says he's like the nicest man in Hollywood, and every time you ask someone about him, everyone just says, no,
yes,
yeah, he is.
Confirmed. Yeah. Yeah. No, he really is. He's very conscious of the place that he has he's an icon of our profession, and he knows that's a global shared feeling because we all grew up with his movies, and he cherishes that. I think he's grateful for the way people look upon him, and he gives back. There's a correspondence, so I think he does an effort to correspond always in these acts of closeness and generosity. Mm-hmm.
Of course, your character makes food for his character in the movie. I'm just wondering, what would you cook in real life for a new neighbour, perhaps? What would you say is your signature dish?
Well, I'm actually vegetarian in life, so I would share something vegetarian, I don't know, I eat very simple. I mean, I'm like quinoa and steamed vegetables. I'm not too, but in Mexico, the food is such an expression of its cultural complexity that it's delicious. So to share pollo con mole, I would love, that's something beautiful because it's just a great taste. And you can eat it in a taco, you can heat it up and it's good, still good. It's a very malleable and good.
Is mole the one with chocolate in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got 30-something ingredients, and one of them is chocolate, peanuts, chiles, various, it's really interesting dish.
And are you friendly with your neighbours? Because I've lived where I've lived for years, and I don't think I've ever spoken to them. And I think that's an English thing. We're quite bad sometimes in England.
Okay.
How are you with your neighbours?
I'm actually pretty good now because we even have a chat. I live in an enclosed area, and we have a chat, and we kind of civilly discuss what we need to. But of course, I've had both experiences. The bad neighbours that turn on the music without thinking that anybody lives around them. And then I've had lovely twice, and one time, this is terrible, but I got not mugged, but I got kind of chased, I got robbed, basically. And the people left me in the street, and they said, go back to your home, a taxi cab was like, come on, don't pay me, I'll take you home. And when I got home, one of my neighbors, a married couple, told me what happened. They got me in there, and we talked, and they sued me. So I have 2 or 3 beautiful experiences with neighbors.
They sound like neighbours that are deserving of a mole, I think.
Huh?
They sound like they're deserving of a mole, those neighbours.
I see.
I think, so I was going to say, because I love the driving lesson scenes in this as well,
Yes.
because I can't drive and I'm going to learn quite soon. I wonder, because I feel like I'm going to be really bad at it. Can you drive? And if you can, have you got any advice to someone like me?
I was a late. I started driving like really late in life too because I just moved around and I was afraid of being bad. But guess what? I wasn't as bad as I thought. And once you learn, you lose fear of it. So it's a good thing to do because it's nice. It gives you freedom to. But also, if you live in a city that you don't need to drive, it's also, just a. It's a big hassle to have a car too.
I was going to ask too, because I saw this film yesterday, and it's obviously one of those movies that has such a kind of nice feeling to it, and I think it's one of those films that quite uplifting, quite life affirming.
Yes.
Obviously, you as an actress, you want to just tell sort of good stories, and you sort of what the choices you make are based on really great stories. But is it nice sometimes to make something that's putting positivity out into the world?
I think so. Yeah, I think so because we are living tough times. Every society is having troubles, we feel more isolated. Just what happened in the pandemic is still going on, but it has been happening for some time. Nuclear families are broken down. People are more resilient to talk to other people. So it's good. It's good to remind ourselves that we are human, that we connect through love, and that we can connect with anyone because we have the same essence, and we all have that capacity to feel fear and love, and that we need other people in our lives to help to love ourselves, and loving other people advances us in life as well. So I think it's good. It's a good thing to remind ourselves because it seems something obvious, but we forget it. We go living as if it's not like that.
And I was thinking about just going back to Tom Hanks, because obviously he's like the one actor that in America, I guess you call him like a national treasure. He's someone that everyone sort of loves. And I was trying to
like Mole is a national treasure.
Yeah.
So they met. Because
I was thinking about like sort of British equivalents. I was wondering, is there like a Mexican Tom Hanks? Is there someone in Mexico that's got that same stature that everyone just loves
him?
Yeah.
Well, there's an actress, Ofelia. That we love. She's been acting forever. And Ofelia Murguia, and everybody who works with her and has the grace of working with her in short films. And she does everything. She's a really big star, but she does small roles in student films, big roles in TV, in cinema, and she's just loved by everyone.
Yeah, and
she's charming.
English one. I mean, there's someone called Stephen Fry. Have you heard of Stephen Fry? We all just love him.
Oh yeah.
He's a kind of not quite the Tom Hanks equivalent, but he's someone that we all just
love. Every society has their icons.
Yeah. And just very finally, you mentioned obviously it's been a very busy year for you this year.
Yes.
Just wondering about does it feel like quite an exciting time for you in your career?
It does. Of course it does. This really is an amazing opportunity. It just feels like a life changer inside. I don't know if career-wise it will. Hopefully it will. But if it doesn't, just the experience of having done it and having been able to work in such a just loving crew and cast, you just take those things. Those are your gifts, internally as an actor.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much and best of luck with the release of the movie.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey, you